Hello, friends. Divine greetings of today to all of you. I hope you all are trying to keep yourselves cozy in this gradually chilling weather. So, here this Kunal Nagpal would like to welcome you all to today's session wherein we are basically going to have a thorough economic analysis pertaining to the Indian economy with the aspect of its international trade, that is the mechanism in which the international trade is being carried out by the Indian economy with the rest of the world. Actually, the government is asking the trade bodies and banks to explore the opportunities for trade in rupee, that is INR, with more countries. Actually, the government has asked the trade bodies and banks to explore the opportunities for trade in rupee with more countries after having facilitated the rupee trade with Russia, Mauritius, and Sri Lanka. The Indian banks have already opened the special Vostro Rupee accounts, that is SVRA, with the banks of these three nations operationalizing the rupee trade arrangement. SBI Mauritius Limited and People's Bank of Sri Lanka opened an SVRA with State Bank of India, that is SBI. In addition, the Bank of Ceylon opened an account in its Indian subsidiary in Chennai recently. Union Bank of India has opened special rupee account of Rose Bank, Russia, while Chennai-based Indian Bank has opened such accounts of three Sri Lankan banks, including the Colombo-based NDB Bank and Ceylon Bank. In all, 18 such special rupee accounts have been opened by all the 11 banks since these accounts have been opened, including 2 of Russia and 1 of Sri Lanka, following the approval from the Reserve Bank of India, that is the RBI. The situation has got much easier. The RBI issued detailed guidelines on cross-border trade transactions in the domestic currency in July. In a recent review meeting with stakeholders, sources said the Finance Ministry asked the stakeholders to explore more countries and establish this mechanism as part of its plans to expand the bilateral trades through SVRAs and internationalize the indigenous payment modes. So, following the Ukraine-Russia war and the sanctions imposed by the West, India has been trying to promote rupee trade, that is in terms of INR, Indian rupee. Since July, Spur Bank and VTB Bank, the largest and second largest banks of Russia respectively, are the first foreign lenders to receive the approval after the RBI announced the guidelines. The RBI, as per guidelines, decided to put in place an additional arrangement for invoking the invoice payments and settlement of exports or imports in the Indian rupee, that is INR. Another Russian bank, that is Gazprom Bank, which does not have its branch in India, has also opened this account with Kolkata-based UCO Bank. The move to open the special Vostro account clears the decks for settlement of payment in rupees for trade between India and Russia, thus enabling the trade between these two countries at a much higher pace and at a comfortable level, enabling the cross-border trade in the Indian currency, which the RBI is actually keen to promote. The Reserve Bank of India has allowed the special Vostro accounts to invest the surplus balance in Indian government securities to help popularize the new arrangement. The Indian importers undertaking imports through the mechanism shall make the payments in INR, that is the Indian rupee, which shall be credited into the special Vostro account of the corresponding bank of the partner country against the invoices for the special goods or also for the supply of certain goods and services from the overseas seller or supplier, reported PTI citing the Reserve Bank of India. So, dear friends, in this session we have actually tried to analyze the prospects of the international trade by the Indian economy with the rest of the world. India is actually making best possible efforts to actually initialize the trade in Indian rupee, that is the INR, which is actually beneficial for the Indian economy as a whole. So the other currencies which used to dominate the international trade, that is euro or dollar among others, are now getting more variety. That is now the currencies in which the international trade is being carried out is getting more and more diverse, and this is actually good. Yes, this is definitely good. And as the overall picture of the Indian economy is getting better holistically, so is the picture of the international trade by the Indian economy, and hence the Indian rupee, the currency of our country, is getting more recognition. Now the countries are willing to trade in our own domestic currency, given the overall global turmoil situation existing in the economic environment, political environment especially. There are a lot of unforeseeable factors, a lot of uncertainties are existing in the overall global scenario in which we are currently residing. So it's obviously better to trade in one's own currency in order to hedge the overall risk factors, considering the forex risk, considering the geopolitical risk, and also considering the overall economic risk, currency risk, because in order to avoid the fluctuations in our own currency, right? We need to make our currency self-reliant and independent gradually. So for that, first step is basically to initialize the foreign trade, the international trade in our own currency. That will actually help to stabilize the overall mechanism or the overall process of our international trade, and the payments being made for the imports done by our country. Thank you so much. That's all for this today's session. Thank you so much. Namaskar. Jai Hind.